Coming up next, folks, it's the Pro Wrestling Report PrimeTime on its new night, Thursday nights. We're going to look back at this past Sunday's WWE Backlash, Raw, SmackDown, Impact, and hot news along with DWHS and the details on this year's Shenanigans WrestleMania party. All that on a loaded primetime coming up right here, right now on Fight TV and YouTube.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime TV, the longest-running pro wrestling news program in the world, with your hosts David Hero and Damian Nelson.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Saturday night for Saturday.
Whoa, pump the brakes,
Oh, the memo. Thursday, September 15, 2016. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Octavius Tiberius, the alleged backyard, one-time knockout, straight-edge, hardcore, Hall of Famer hero. And David, how does it feel being here on a Thursday?
You know, it feels great.
Are you thirsty?
I've been clanging and banging and banging and
Whoa,
clanging.
Whoa.
Bro,
we're not talking about your banging or your clanging.
For Blizzard Brawl, House of Hardcore.
House of
baby.
Hardcore presents Blizzard Brawl. Did you find a replacement main event match yet?
No.
So what are you going to do?
You're gonna
or is it Tommy's problem?
No, it is Tommy's issue, but you've signed on the dotted line, and we're going to have fun, bro.
Don't touch me.
It's going to be great.
No touch clause in all my contracts. A blast. How do you consider a cage match being a blast?
Because
your
you're
sick,
be in it.
twisted, and demented mind.
You have the guy with the demented mind in Abyss. I have my best friend, Al Snow, my super friend, Al Snow. You're screwed, bro.
Folks, let's get right down to it with this week's big story. Of course, WWE presented Backlash on its network last Sunday night. It was the first SmackDown-only branded pay-per-view, and we saw a brand new WWE World Heavyweight Champion crowned in AJ Styles defeating Dean Ambrose after a tremendous wrestling contest between those two. AJ takes it, as you said he would, in Be the Booker.
And I did, and could I have been more right on Be the Booker than AJ Styles?
I don't remember
winning, but I'll be honest, bro. As you know, I wasn't there. I didn't get to watch. I got to watch it, Tuesday morning. I was down in Pensacola doing my thing.
What's your thing? Hanging and banging again, clanging and banging.
I am a marriage officiant.
Meaning you are
I'm an ordained minister. I can perform marriages.
Do you even know what the term ordained means? Who has ordained you?
It was this dude online, and I passed. I got a certificate of completion, and I was down with the DOGG, the Road Dogg Jesse James. I didn't marry his daughter, but I married his daughter as far as the ceremony goes with her now fiance husband. And
awesome.
And just how great was that? I mean, they asked how you were doing and how scared you were going to be about climbing into a cage, but it was crazy. When you get married, I'll do your wedding for free.
Oh, certainly not. I already have that all taken care of. I don't need you there, pal. I'm giving you the night off.
But I'm really good at it.
That's not what I've heard.
I'm 5 for 5. No divorces yet.
Let's talk, though, about the matchup. AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose. AJ Styles, the new World Heavyweight Champion. We'll talk about SmackDown because things advanced quite rapidly on Tuesday night as well. But the fact that he went in to Backlash and took the title from Dean Ambrose was pretty surprising.
And here's the crazy thing about it is much of the same way the fans cheered when Kevin Owens didn't beat anybody to become the undisputed or the Universal Champion.
He is now the longest reigning.
He is, but AJ Styles with the shot to the cashews.
Yeah.
On Dean Ambrose to a big pop from the crowd.
Right.
The bad guy gets cheered for cheating, and he's now the new world champion. AJ Styles has, no pun intended, has been nothing short of phenomenal since he has come into the company. Well, you're going to get things wet. I'm trying to avoid that for you. And
thought that was the goal.
Who knew? Not you. Who knew? Who knew that AJ would have such a quick rise to the top.
He has had a meteoric rise to the top, and is really shows. Let's go back to all of the talk of AJ Styles coming into WWE, if that were to ever happen, before it did actually happen, and many, including us on this program, wondered if he would have that. And this is not a knock on the company, but that what has been known to be called TNA stink on him.
TNA stink, yeah.
And coming in, making that big debut in the Royal Rumble, and now, just 9 months later, being the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, shows that WWE has a lot of, confidence in AJ Styles.
Well, and here's the beauty of it. Remember when Jericho beat him? And, oh my God, they buried AJ Styles at WrestleMania.
Yep.
Huh. Well, Jericho is now playing the sidekick to Kevin Owens.
Yes, absolutely.
And AJ Styles is now the world champion in the WWE.
If the brand split had not happened, though, would this be the same scenario?
Not at all. Not at all. The brand split, AJ Styles was signed because of the brand split. Well, they knew that they needed stars. They knew that they needed guys that could go, fan favorites and whatnot. And AJ Styles' timing was absolutely perfect. This wouldn't have worked for him 3 or 4 years ago.
Well, it worked for him now, and at Backlash, he became the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Again, big developments on SmackDown. We'll talk about that later in the program. We found out who his next opponents are going to be. But moving on to talking about the other notable matchups at Backlash, we saw the first ever women's champion crowned, and that woman was Becky Lynch.
Becky Balboa. She wins the six-pack. That's what she calls herself now, Becky Balboa. And you know what? Good. I didn't see it coming. She's kind of like forgotten about. I thought Naomi would be the one. I was hoping it wouldn't be Carmella. Nikki would have been a great choice, but Becky Lynch has been...
Well, you thought Naomi might have an option, too.
I did. I really did. But Becky Lynch, and I said this a year ago, you can roll back the tape and watch. I thought Becky Lynch had the most fire out of her, Sasha, and Charlotte. I thought Becky Lynch would eventually become the biggest star, and right now, more people are talking about Becky Lynch as the SmackDown Women's Champion than they are talking about Charlotte, the number 2 pick on the Raw side.
Oh, that's so not true. Absolutely not. She's hot right now because she just won the title, but before she won the title, did Becky Lynch, she was coming out to a bit of a thud of a reaction, in my opinion, on SmackDown, whereas Charlotte has been one of the top heels, woman or male, in WWE on the Raw side since the split.
I think that the SmackDown brand has the better roster of women's wrestlers.
Really? Did you say that last week? Felt like we said differently. I said differently last week, for sure.
Well, you might have. You know me, I mean...
Right. A good, messy match. Messy, though, in a good way, because it didn't get sloppy. It didn't get unbelievable, I guess you can call it, during that six-pack women's matchup.
What was great about it was that the girls got their stuff in.
Everybody did,
they
absolutely.
Were given time. They were able to showcase what they can and cannot do. It was a solid match. I mean, was it 5-star? No, but it was definitely a 3.5 to 4.
Yeah.
And it served the purpose. It made all of the girls in that match look like stars.
That it did, and another first-time champion was crowned this past Sunday at Backlash. That in the tag team champions on the blue side, on the SmackDown side, and it would be Heath Slater and Rhino winning the WWE Tag Team Championships, defeating the Usos. Even with their new attitude, not enough to thwart the efforts of Slato. Can we call him that? Slato?
Sure. In 30 years from now, when you open up the history books and you see the first ever SmackDown Tag Team
as an endorsed Heath Slater and Rhino.
Heath Slater and Rhino.
Endorsed Heath Slater.
You can't help but smile. I mean,
smile how?
Heath Slater has never been more over than he is right now.
Absolutely.
He's had at least 3 or 4 different reincarnations. And his T-shirt's great. I got kids.
Yeah.
It's awesome. You know?
But he's not a baby's daddy.
No.
He's still with
Beulah.
Beulah. Is there something there, by the way, calling her Beulah?
It could be. Why not?
From the old ECW days, Beulah McGillicuddy?
It could very well be, yes. Very interesting. But good for Heath Slater, better for Rhino.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't see them holding the tag belts very long.
Rhino was ECW champion, correct?
Yes, he was.
In WWE?
In both.
Was he ever another champion? Was he Intercontinental, U.S., European,
He was the
anything?
NWA champion TNA.
Okay, but in WWE, this is his first.
He's been hardcore. He's been,
Yeah,
you
okay.
know, yeah.
Well, speaking of championships, the Intercontinental Championship was also on the line as The Miz defeated Dolph Ziggler, keeping his Intercontinental Championship with the help of Maurice, who sprayed what we could call hairspray, perhaps, perfume, in the eyes of Dolph Ziggler.
Poor
Dolph
Dolph.
Ziggler couldn't do it again.
Poor Dolph. I mean, how much time do we really have to dedicate to this match?
Well, let's talk about before the matchup when
Let's be honest. I mean, it's Dolph Ziggler once again coming up short. And
it was a great wrestling contest, though. But before the matchup, The Miz saying to Daniel Bryan something he would do again on SmackDown, saying to Daniel Bryan, I'm a top star, I want to renegotiate my contract, and I'm going to go out there and win this match to prove to you that I deserve more money.
What I thought was even better than that was how they started their match, where they reenacted the CM Punk MMA
What do you mean?
UFC fight.
How so?
Where the
We'll
Miz...
talk about that in hot news, by the way, the CM Punk defeat.
We're talking about the match right
We
now.
are. That's why I'm asking you to tell me how so they replicated the situation.
They
with
replicated the
CM
match. That's
So the first 2 minutes and 14 seconds
Yes.
were the same?
basically. You didn't notice that?
I did not notice that at all.
How Miz charges at Ziggler, he picks him up, double takedown, gets on top, pow, 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 puts him in the choke. You know, you really need to pay attention.
You're digging too deep.
No, I'm not. Dude, it's exactly what it was.
There were rumors circulating earlier in the day on Sunday that Randy Orton would not be available to participate due to injury in the matchup against Bray Wyatt. You would see Bray Wyatt take out Randy Orton earlier in the evening at Backlash in the back, but then he would still have a contest, a wrestling match. His opponent, though, was Kane. Kane versus Bray Wyatt, replacing Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt. You might sort of shrug at that a little bit, but it was a great contest between the two, actually, especially once Randy Orton revealed himself and came down to the ring, RKO'd Bray Wyatt. Kane gets the pinfall victory on Bray Wyatt. The Randy Orton-Bray Wyatt story continues.
For Bray Wyatt to work on that pay-per-view.
I think it was a good choice in Kane.
Apollo Crews, who can't get over to save his soul right now?
I think Kane was a great choice.
It was.
I would have, and I said this on Twitter, at Damian Nelson on Twitter, that I think it would have been fantastic, however, there was not a snowball's chance in hell, if The Undertaker had been the surprise on the first SmackDown pay-per-view. Something big happens. They had an opportunity, not that they could have.
Here right now.
No, okay, regardless of whether he wrestles actively or not, would The Undertaker not have been a good choice? Because
yeah, but you need to advertise that.
why? You said last week they're not trying to get any buys for this.
Right, but Undertaker's a different duck.
He's not a duck.
It's a different scenario.
I still think it would have been cool, but I don't think Kane was a problem. And more importantly, throughout this matchup and throughout this story, the story continues between Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton, and it would continue on SmackDown this past Tuesday night, as we will discuss later on. But overall, this pay-per-view Backlash I thought was solid at 2 hours and 40 minutes rather, a little shorter than the average WWE pay-per-view, but that was fine. That was all we needed. It was very different, though, from what we've seen in recent months from WWE, because this show featured a lot of old school professional wrestling storytelling as opposed to a bunch of high spots and hot shotting.
Whoa.
which long term will benefit the SmackDown brand.
And the SmackDown brand, it's a little thin at the roster right now when you lose guys like Del Rio and, with Randy Orton not being cleared or whatever, and Cena being a part-time player. But they still have the horses. They still have Ambrose and AJ and Baron Corbin. Guys like that are gonna be pivotal, and they're gonna draw money with them.
Yep, absolutely they will. Well, folks, that is this week's big story. We're going to take a time out, and when we come back, we're going to look at this past week's Raw and SmackDown. We're also going to talk about CM Punk's UFC 203 defeat. We've got details on Shenanigans coming to Orlando, the VIP party coming to Orlando as part of WrestleMania 17 weekend. And we're going to talk about TNA Impact Wrestling, the final deletion part 2. Occurred last week on Impact Wrestling. But before we get to all that, let's go now to the returning Linda Kay to tell us how we fared in last week's draft scoring at Backlash.
Roll it.
Thank you, Damien. The PWR Fantasy Draft continued at Backlash with the Super Friends taking the win over the Nelson family, scoring 140 points. However, with the family also scoring 120 points, Damien remains in the lead with the overall scoring of 2,035 points to the 1,845 points of the Super Friends. We'll have another update after WWE Clash of Champions.
At Gruber Law Offices, we understand that when you've been injured, life is tough. That's why we offer so many services for free. First call, free. First consultation, free. Stuck at home or in the hospital? We'll come to you for free. We'll deal with the insurance company for you and get you the help you need. Call Gruber Law Offices now. We don't get paid until you do, and your first consultation is always free.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time Thursday here on our new night, David Hero, but in our same place we've been in the last couple of weeks, here at Casablanca on Brady in Milwaukee.
Are we
Tremendous
live?
establishment, Middle Eastern cuisine and hookah. Tremendous hookah. Yes, we are live.
You know what? We need to get a hookah one of these times.
I don't believe. Why do we need to? I didn't know you were a tobacco connoisseur.
It smells great.
What's your brand? What's your flavor? What's your liking?
Well, I prefer
Something red,
sometimes.
something old, something borrowed,
Not
something
old,
blue,
not old,
something new.
No. New, yes. So, yeah, you know what? We'll talk.
Like new within the last 26 years, or newer than that?
No, that's about right. That's fine. That works. Not as new as 23, because that would be weird. But yeah.
Well, what about 19? Folks, let's go to this week's Raw report. And Raw this past Monday night, coming off the heels of Backlash. However, it was interesting because it really had no bearing on, or Backlash really had no bearing on what Raw would be. But we did see some interesting things take place this past Monday night on The Red Show. The first of which being finding out that Roman Reigns will not be the third man in the matchup between Kevin Owens and who's he fighting? Seth Rollins. Drew a blank there.
Really?
Seth Rollins at their pay-per-view Clash of Champions, which is coming up next Sunday. Roman Reigns would be defeated by Owens as a result of outside interference by a returning Rusev.
How is Clash of Champions not a joint branded show?
Every Raw championship will be on the line at the Clash
But
of
they
Champions.
could have had every Raw and SmackDown championship on the line.
I think their focus seemingly at this point is ensuring the brand split is preserved,
Yes.
at least through Survivor Series.
Yes.
Rusev
I wasn't expecting him back yet, Rusev.
Really?
He's on his honeymoon with his wife, Lana.
Well, they were gone for a while. I mean, how much time does he need with her?
How much time would you like with her?
All of it.
Exactly. But, you know,
Oh, Lana, won't you marry me now?
I was shocked that, Reigns is a star. I mean, in
Careful how you say that.
he is.
He is the #1 wrestler in the world, according to Pro
He
Wrestling
is,
Illustrated.
And if it was up to me, he would be my Universal Champion.
What? Shut
He
your
would
mouth.
be.
Really?
He would be. Why not? Rusev and Reigns is going to be a cool program.
Here's what's great about what they did on Monday, though. So smart, because it's not about Rusev being in the championship picture. It's about Rusev and Reigns and that program now that they can continue, which may lead to a U.S. championship reign by Reigns.
It reminds me of the time when Jake Roberts was in a program with the Macho Man. Mm-hmm. And they were both getting booed. And eventually the fans went one way or another.
Yeah, they didn't have a choice, huh?
No, they really didn't. And I'm looking forward to, I think it's going to be two dudes that are going to punch and kick, and they're going to kick some butt. I think they're going to have some really solid matches because Roman Reigns is the Samoan bloodlines. Rusev was trained by Rikishi. So there's a family dynamic in there.
Is he not actually Samoan?
Who?
Rusev?
He's not Samoan.
He's not Russian.
He's Bulgarian.
He's not Bulgarian.
Yes, he is.
He's not legit Bulgarian, no.
He doesn't have the Bulgarian flag tattooed on his arm?
Does he really?
Yes.
Well, there might be roots, but I don't know if he was born there.
Maybe
Would he be deported too?
Well, no, I think he's married to Lana, and she's legal. So it works.
I thought she was Russian.
Yeah, by injection.
Alrighty. Sasha Banks, ladies and gentlemen, is the new #1 contender officially for Charlotte's WWE Women's Championship.
Did you watch
the
that
dynamic,
match?
I did.
Weren't they both pinned? Bailey and Sasha?
Yes, to a degree.
So what the heck?
Well, Sasha won. That's what the official
Poor
said.
Bailey, she's getting buried already.
Are you being facetious?
There should be a Twitter outcry that Bailey is being buried by Sasha.
Is it not the case that there is no outcry because she made it to the Raw roster, so the fans are done with her now?
But still, Finn Balor made it to the Raw roster.
Well, he's the first ever Universal Champion, though.
Yes, the shortest reigning.
The Dana Brooke and Charlotte dynamic is fantastic.
You like it?
I love it, yes.
Who does it remind you of?
Who does it remind me of? I can't say it reminds me of anyone.
Jericho and Ralphus?
I don't think so.
Where Dana Brooke is kind of like the lackey?
Well, she definitely is the lackey. She's trying to get the approval, the satisfaction of her mentor, the women's champion, Charlotte. How great is Charlotte, though? I know you hate that she's a number 2 pick because she should have been, but how great is she? You don't like her?
You're going to get me in trouble.
You don't like her?
I think she's a great talent. I don't think she's as great as everyone says she is.
Who's better right now?
Becky Lynch?
All of a sudden. I'd never seen you jump on a bandwagon since Kevin Owens.
Dude, go back to a year ago and watch some of the film. I said
They don't
Becky
tape on
Lynch.
film. What do you think this is, the 60s?
I said Becky Lynch would be the biggest star of that Divas Revolution.
So you were for her before you were against her?
Yes. I love Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch loves me.
Cesaro, folks, gets a win over Sheamus. The series is now 3-2 with 2 matches remaining. And I don't know how that's going to work. So, well, I guess I have one next Monday and then another one at
They'll
Clash.
tie it up and then Clash, and he'll come back.
It's gotten more interesting.
He'll come back being down 0-3 to win, and he'll get a U.S. title shot against Rusev.
Your face says you don't care.
I don't. I really don't.
Do you not care because of the participants? Do you not care because there's no prize that they're striving for? Or do you just not care? You're bitter this week.
No, I'm being
What
honest.
happened?
I'm honest.
Is it because you have to find that new main event at Blizzard Brawl?
No.
House of Hardcore presents Blizzard Brawl?
I like Cesaro. He's great. He's a fantastic talent. The fans get behind him.
But
He hits the guy with 2,200 uppercuts and can't beat him. I don't see a whole lot of Cesaro merchandise in the audience.
I own a Cesaro shirt.
I see a lot of handheld signs.
Cesaro section. I bought
Yeah,
one.
I know. You bought the sign?
I bought a Cesaro shirt and I bought a Sami Zayn shirt. Those are the only 2 pro wrestling shirts I've bought in the last 5 years
yeah,
since I
because-
bought a Miz shirt. That was the
Because
last
Cody
shirt I
Rhodes
bought.
gave you one and signed it for you.
I don't wear that one. I bought one of those that I actually wear. I don't wear a signed T-shirt. What are you, crazy?
I just think that Cesaro should be on the SmackDown brand and not Raw.
So does Cesaro.
For a shoot, I think he feels that way.
Absolutely. Yeah, and perhaps he will be soon, given their challenges.
Yes, there's a lot of challenges. But right now, Cesaro and Sheamus is nothing for anybody.
How about Nia Jax destroying your girl, Alicia Fox?
Nia Jax.
Nia.
I love Nia Jax. I love Alicia Fox. It pains me to see my friends beat each other up. I don't like that. I'm not a big fan of that.
So you wouldn't pay to see 2 hot chicks fight?
Oh, I would never said that. I don't want to see my friends punch each other in the face. It's different when I punch you
She
in the
didn't so
face
much
in
punch her
December.
in the face. She grabbed her by the face and threw her against the guardrails, and then threw her through the
You know I've been an
guardrail.
Alicia Fox guy for a long time.
I've seen you fawn over her in person.
Yes.
To her face.
Yes. And it's just she's the most underutilized women's wrestler in that company. Because she's great. She's fantastic. And she can help Nia Jax get better.
How and where does it go from here after that demolition? Which, by the way, remember, did you catch they were mentioned finally on Monday night as the longest reigning tag team champions?
Oh, they did?
They did twice, actually. Michael Cole mentioned it on commentary.
Huh, but how come they don't... Why? Why all of a sudden now?
I don't know, but they absolutely did.
So, everyone complained about Nia Jax and
Nia?
Braun Strowman working with enhancement talent.
SmackDown main event jobbers?
But now it meant more that she beat up Alicia Fox, didn't it? Yes, it did.
Not to me. It actually made me view Alicia Fox in a lesser light because that's all she's been wrestling, are jobbers. I'm not saying Alicia Fox is a jobber, folks.
You better not.
I'm not saying that at all. She is a great talent, and if you continue to threaten physical harm against me, I will walk right out that door, and I will
You promise?
contact the Milwaukee Police Department, and I will have you arrested
They won't
and
do
detained.
anything.
That is assault.
I'm 10.
You don't have to touch me for assault. Once you touch me, it's battery.
You're in big
You've
trouble.
currently assaulted me.
You hear all the rumors about cops, police officers. They're not going to help you. They're going to take my side. We'll be fine.
What next? Nia Jax, Alicia Fox.
Well,
where do you go from here? What would you book from here between the two if you think that's going to lead to something?
Continued slow blow with Nia Jax. Slow
blow.
Build. Linda was off camera. It was very distracting. And it's just, they're going to build her towards Charlotte or Sasha or Bayley. That's where it's going. By the Rumble.
All right, well, we'll see what happens with that, folks. We also saw the team of Gallows and Anderson, the club, defeat the New Day in a tag team matchup on Raw.
I'm still confused as to how poorly the club has been used. Gallows and Anderson.
Yeah.
You know, how many
they got a bit more serious this past Monday night.
How many more times are we going to see them work with the New Day?
Yeah, what is the end of that? Do they finally get the championships? There's a lot of talk about New Day's reign. As I talked about earlier, them finally mentioning Demolition, comparing the reign that they've had to the reign of the New Day. Is that story right in front of us?
How many more days do they got to go to catch Demolition?
I think we're under 50.
Well, but you got the Clash of Champions pay-per-view coming up. You got to believe that it'll be the New Day against.
Yeah, absolutely. That's booked, I believe.
It's just old news for me. It really is.
Well, maybe it's old news for a lot of fans because this past Monday night's Raw, ladies and gentlemen, actually scored the second lowest rating on a non-holiday broadcast since 1996, rather.
They went up against a doubleheader Monday Night Football.
How does Monday Night Football do a doubleheader? Was it on two stations?
No.
Two networks?
One was on earlier.
They did two games?
Yes, back
on a Monday night?
Yes.
So the earlier game started at what time?
Probably 6.
And the second game started at what time?
After the first game.
So in essence, they were still up against Monday Night Football.
Oh, the entire time.
Okay.
They lost the lead-in. People were already watching football in the lead-in.
Yeah, true. Mm-hmm. Well, that was this past week's WWE Raw, folks. And coming up Sunday here on the networks of the Pro Wrestling Report, we will have Battle of the Brands. Battle of the Brands used to air on Thursdays, but now it's actually going to be presented to you on Sundays, where we get your votes. Your votes as to which show was the better show of the two. And as a matter of fact, since that show is now airing on Sundays, we're going to present you with a little bit of a preview of what to look for in the upcoming week from both Raw and SmackDown. That Battle of the Brands, which comes to you Sunday here on the networks of the Pro Wrestling Report. And Primetime Thursday continues here on our new night here from Casablanca. When we come back, folks, we're going to talk about WWE SmackDown. We've got details on the Shenanigans party coming to Orlando, Florida in March. And also last week's Impact Wrestling, Hot News, and DWHS. All that and more coming up next here on the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. What are you doing? I mean, seriously, what are you doing?
I just got a text from Dreamer. He says ticket sales have been fantastic, and he credits his cage match.
Is he ready to give all the refunds that he needs to give? Because I am not.
Contract.
Look, I am a man of my word, and if that word in that contract said that I was participating in a wrestling contest, then I would do so. However, my attorney has indicated that it does not explicitly state that I must participate in a
word is the
wrestling
bird,
match.
I'm not going to do it.
I didn't say it on Twitter.
The sign language word of the bird, but just suck it up and just follow through.
I'm not flipping on this issue. I am told by my attorney that I do not have to perform in a physical contest at Blizzard Raw.
Okay.
I'm too delicate. We talked about it last week.
Oh, you're delicate.
Imagine if this were damaged. The world would be in peril.
Wait, the world?
It's time, folks, now to go to this week's SmackDown report. Talking about the Blue Show this past
Korean
Tuesday
kids
night.
would be real upset about it.
And wow, what a show it was. SmackDown coming off the heels of Backlash. What a hot opening segment. with AJ Styles coming down to the ring and celebrating as the champ that runs the camp, to be interrupted by a returning John Cena to SmackDown television, who wants and has decided it's time to take what he believes is his back from AJ Styles, that being the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Dean Ambrose has something to say about that. Out he comes, and then to end all the drama, out comes Shane McMahon. And the match is made not only for the main event of SmackDown, a tag team matchup, Ambrose and Cena versus Styles and a partner of his choosing, but the match is also made for No Mercy, the next SmackDown event. It's a triple threat, folks. It is John Cena versus Dean Ambrose versus AJ Styles for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship.
What a great three-way promo with those guys.
It was fantastic. It really was.
Cena had a little ruthless aggression in him.
Oh, did he ever? He actually called Ambrose out for being called out by Austin on Austin's podcast.
I forgot what was all said about that.
It was near the ending. I mean, it's painful to go back and watch that again because it was so awkward because of Ambrose. But this was, Cena showed that passion that he shows every now and again.
And here's the funny thing: Ambrose calling Cena the old part-timer.
Yeah. Who's being used by WWE for award show appearances and morning news show appearances.
Do you know why?
Why is that?
Because nobody else means as much as he does.
Well, but you're right. But I don't think Ambrose said it in a vein of jealousy. I think he said it in a vein of, you don't matter anymore, John Cena.
Yeah, that's why he's the guy doing all the PR stuff.
He actually specifically referred to him as a lazy part-timer. Did Ambrose.
Which was funny, because he's not. He's far from lazy. John Cena is still the face that runs that place. He still gets the best reaction. You don't think so?
I think AJ's getting close, David. AJ's a star.
There were some super friends spotted at SmackDown Live, and
more people with the giveaway T-shirts.
Sure, and they all said that Cena had the best reaction, hands down.
Well, from their perspective, from where they were sitting, we don't do arena reports on this show. We use real journalists for our reports.
They're interns that were there.
Oh, you do have interns now?
I do.
They were male?
Well, they're out of state.
So, we would find out that even though he approached many a person, did AJ Styles over the course of the evening to find a partner, he would not find a partner successfully and would be paired up by Daniel Bryan or Shane McMahon, one of the two,
Daniel Bryan,
with a new talent to the SmackDown brand,
How great
James
was that
Ellsworth.
James Ellsworth. They flew that dude in.
He looked like, it was a Gilbert moment, if I've ever seen a Gilbert moment.
They flew him in for that.
From?
Doesn't matter.
He could have been local. Maybe they drove him in for that.
Well, it was at least a 4-hour drive local. I mean, how great is that for that kid?
Well, he would ultimately not end up in the matchup, as The Miz, who earlier in the night had some words for Daniel Bryan, we'll get to that in a minute, came out and took Ellsworth out on the ramp before he even got to the ring, and then said, I'm a main eventer, is Miz. I'm in this match. He partners with AJ Styles.
The Miz, that skull-crushing finale bump looked rough.
Rough for
James Ellsworth.
I don't want to break the screen.
Dude, he went face first into that ramp.
Well, wouldn't you?
No.
Maybe he's thinking he can get a job.
The Miz would never get me in that position.
Why? How wouldn't he? Why would he not?
Because I'm 6'5".
Oh, because the Miz is small.
He's
a back to your size reference. Are you? Why? I don't understand.
Do you think the Miz could give the skull-crushing finale to Kane?
He's giving it to Big Show. He's giving it to Kane. It's happened. He's done it.
The Big Show.
He's done it.
Was he on a ladder?
No, but he's done it.
I want to see tape.
You
of
devalue the Miz in such a way that it is almost insulting.
No, I don't. He's been an amazing talent there for a long time. Mm-hmm. He's a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm. Well, in that main event matchup, folks, it would end.
I called him a Hall of Famer.
It would end. I stopped listening to you because I was transitioning. It would end with Ambrose and Cena getting the win. However, Dean Ambrose would get a little bit of payback on John Cena for his words earlier in the night, attacking him after the matchup.
But why? Why would Ambrose do that?
It's every man for himself at No Mercy.
Ambrose still needs to sell merch. You wait.
Well, I don't think he turned per se, but I saw an Ambrose this past Tuesday night that I can like more. An Ambrose that didn't feel like he was phoning it in to a degree, as he has as champion over the last few weeks.
Yes.
He's better going after something, it feels, than having something.
He is the guy that should always be chasing Dean Ambrose.
An underdog, but not an underdog per se, but
Yes,
he should
yes.
always be seeking.
I've been saying that for years.
Good matchup, though. A good beginning and ending to SmackDown this past Tuesday night on the USA Network. Some other significant things happened on SmackDown this past week, including your dear friend David Hero, Kurt Hawkins, making his debut.
Well, he was on TV again. He'll be, hopefully next week he makes his in-ring debut.
The promos were weird. I didn't know if my TV was like moving.
He's kind of like the Chuck Norris of the WWE right now.
Walker, Texas Ranger?
Him too.
Wait, explain. How's he like Chuck Norris? Does he know karate?
No, just all the amazing things he says he can do.
Chuck Norris did that?
Yeah, Chuck Norris, man. Everyone's afraid of Chuck Norris.
Currently, or was?
Of course.
We also saw a new addition to the blue team in Jack Swagger. Jack Swagger coming over from the Raw side. Remember on Raw?
I was so confused because your notes said Swagger goes blue. I'm thinking he wasn't cussing on there.
As you recall, on Raw past Monday night, he was asked after his matchup whether or not he would be re-signing with Raw, his Raw contract specifically ending. Well, we would find out that would not be the case because Jack Swagger went over to SmackDown.
The only problem I have with that
Tuesday
is Swagger shows up and gets beat by Jinder Mahal.
He did get Jinder Mahal, who I think he had his first entrance and theme since coming back to WWE.
And now he's on SmackDown. I've always been a Swagger guy. I've always liked Jack Swagger. I felt he's been underutilized. I think he's a great talent, and I think him and Baron Corbin could have had a great program, which I thought was the direction they were going in. But it's going to be interesting to see how they can resuscitate the career of Jack Swagger.
Well, folks, we talked about it too. We talked a lot about The Miz. Miz very prominent on this show. He did Dolph Ziggler ask The Miz for a rematch for that Intercontinental Championship. Miz said no. Even after Daniel Bryan came out to make the match, Miz said no. He goes back to the wanting to renegotiate his contract and walks out.
What can he want in his contract?
I'm not sure the contract actually has anything to do with it, because I'm deeply intrigued by what's going to happen between Daniel Bryan and The Miz eventually. Could we get one more match out of Daniel Bryan?
No, not a chance.
So then where does this go? Is it the talent against the commissioner or GM or whatever again, or is there more to this?
Daniel Bryan, WWE has a $100 million concussion lawsuit against them. There's no way they're going to put Daniel Bryan out there.
He's been very vocal, at least he did so on Talking Smack. He did so in a recent interview about how they won't let him wrestle.
Yes.
And he actually went as far to say he was forced into the SmackDown general manager role.
Well,
he's being held against his will.
No, he could quit.
And sit there for 2 years.
He could quit and go do whatever else he wants to do. But
he's locked in for 2 years with WWE.
Where else is he going to go and wrestle? Who's going to take that
Anybody
chance?
else would let him wrestle right now. TNA would let him wrestle. Ring of Honor would let him wrestle. New Japan would let him wrestle.
He is currently on every WWE programming.
Absolutely.
He's
but
on
he's
the
not
network.
Wrestling.
Cash that check, bro.
And
Just
that is
cash
what
the
he
check.
is doing. He is
Yes.
being a smart businessman. But where does it end, though, between Miz and Daniel Bryan? Because this is a great story between the two. And Miz is still doing some of the best work he's ever done in that company right now as part of this story.
Eventually it'll just fade away, like it always does. It'll just go in a different direction.
How does it just fade away without having an ending to this pretty massive story between the two?
Well, WWE has been known to start and stop certain things on a whim.
Which they seemingly did with this Daniel Bryan Miz storyline, but they
sure that
picked back up real quickly.
Daniel Bryan will physically be involved in one of the matches and cost the Miz whatever. And of course, if he wants a new contract, maybe the new contract is written a certain way where they can't, be together anymore. I think you're overthinking. Just appreciate
I'm
it.
wishfully thinking. I'm hopefully thinking as a fan.
Why would you want to see Daniel Bryan back?
I didn't say I wanted to. I said, would we?
Do you want to?
I'm not sure I do.
No, I don't either.
I think he deserves one last match because he didn't have that last match.
Yes, he did at WrestleMania.
But it wasn't a last match. He didn't go out there and say, I
I
want one more. I want one more. People have value in that final matchup, right? Yeah. That I'm leaving, I want to have that last match.
Title at WrestleMania in front of 72,000 people. That's a pretty solid last match. I'd much rather have that than in front of 22,000 at Madison Square Garden.
Because you're not a fan, you're just
a businessman.
If you're a fan, you'd want the last match.
No, I want to have a healthy life.
Well, folks, that is this week's SmackDown Report. So much more to come here on the Pro Wrestling Report as we continue. As a matter of fact, I'm physically drained and emotionally drained from trying to draw a story out of this one this week. So I'm going to let Linda tell us what's coming up next.
What story do you want?
Here on PrimeTime.
Mary had a little lamb?
Coming up next, we have this week's TNA Impact Wrestling Report, hot news, DWHS, and info on this year's Shenanigans VIP party in Orlando as part of WrestleMania weekend.
The Soder family thought they'd take a road trip this summer. A little fun, a little sun. What could possibly go wrong? Even under the best driving conditions, semi-trucks can still be dangerous. The results of being in a wreck with 40 tons of steel and speed can be catastrophic. And it only gets worse when you don't have Gruber Law Offices on your side. If you or a loved one has been injured by a semi-truck, call Gruber Law Offices now. One call, that's all.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report primetime Thursday night here on our new night. Thursday, David Hero. The day after Hump Day.
Where are we on this thing?
We're on page 2, page 1, bottom of page 1. Okay.
Why am I on page 2?
Because you turned to page 2.
Oh, I turned.
You can turn back to page 1.
We're there.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how that works? So, like, it's in order and everything. It just sort of goes. And right now, we're going to go into a very special event center, David Hero. Haven't had the event center in the last few weeks because we've got a big announcement, a major announcement, a huge announcement, an epic announcement. Because guess what? It's back. Shenanigans is coming back to WrestleMania weekend. Shenanigans is not available. It would cost a lot to book Jamie Foxx. Was he Shenanigans? He was Wanda on In Living Color. Who was Shenanigans? Martin Lawrence?
Yes.
Martin Lawrence was Shenanigans. Is he still with us on this planet, Martin Lawrence?
Yes. I think he's doing Bad Boys 14.
Shenanigans, the biggest party event of WrestleMania weekend, ladies and gentlemen. If you've been there, you know. If you haven't been there, you need to know that it is hosted by Kevin Nash, WWE Hall of Famer Kevin Nash. It is the Friday night prior to WrestleMania, March 31st, 2017, in Orlando, Florida, in the heart of all the action on International Drive at the biggest, baddest, and best nightclub in the entire city. Mango's Tropical Cafe will be the host this year for Shenanigans, presented by WWE Hall of Famer Kevin Nash. It just got even bigger.
We had a blast at Mango's last time we were there.
I've been to Mango's. We have been to Mango's. We did have a blast last time we were there, absolutely. David, it's not just about the venue.
No.
It's not just about Kevin Nash. It's not just about the people that are going to be there. There will be live entertainment. There will be a DJ, actually several DJs.
Cage dancers.
There will be all kinds of fun and shenanigans.
Dancers, right?
And shenanigans. I'm not sure they'll be in a cage, but there will be dancers.
Do you bring singles for this one?
We do expect our patrons to make it rain.
Fantastic. It's going to be great, and there's more stuff brewing and building for this. And we'll be
Are you teasing?
Well, it's going to be a big party.
It's going to be a big party. We've got increased capacity over last year. As you know, last year sold out well in advance of the event. So don't miss out, folks. Opportunities to buy tickets. Tickets go on sale tomorrow morning to the public. Actually, those of you who have attended in the past already had your opportunity to buy tickets over the course of the last 24 hours, and we appreciate those of you who have done that. But do not wait to be a part of the biggest party event of the year.
It's always the who's who.
It is the who's who, as a matter of fact.
Because how many times has it been where we knew who was coming, and then all of a sudden we walk around and we're like, oh, they're here.
This is a shoot. I am still hearing of names of people that were there specifically at last year's party that I did not know was there, and that we never saw. And I'm talking wrestling stars. There were over 50 wrestling stars at the party last year. We expect that to be the same.
The Shining Stars were there even.
Yes, they were, weren't they?
Jinder Mahal was there.
Yes, stars from
Kurt Hawkins,
TNA, stars from Ring of Honor, stars from WWE will be joining Kevin Nash at his private VIP party in Orlando, Florida at Mango's on March 31st, 2017. It goes from 10 p.m. to 2 p.m. The best way to go, 2 a.m. rather, to close. The best way to go is to go VIP. Your VIP ticket includes a private meet and greet session with Kevin Nash. It includes all night long free food and free drinks. Your booze is included in your ticket price. Your food is included in your ticket price. You go VIP, what you pay for that ticket is you're all in for the night, unless you want shots. Those are extra, and I know you enjoy the Replemans, David Hero.
I do.
But VIP is the way to go, ladies and gentlemen. Only a limited number of tickets available for that. And as you said, David Hero, we expect to have more marquee names added to the event as the event draws closer that are part of that VIP package at Shenanigans in Orlando at Mango's on iDrive. You know there's a Mango's on South Beach as well? We've been there too.
We've been there. I saw
DeBrat. That's where you met DeBrat. Absolutely, yes. Yeah, how'd that night end for you? Well.
I don't remember.
It ended well. I remember. I had to clean up again.
Did you?
I had the situation. Shenanigans. Tickets go on sale tomorrow morning, folks, for the biggest party coming to Orlando during WrestleMania weekend. It is the only place you want to be sure to be, in addition to the big event WrestleMania on March 31st. With that, let's go to this week's Impact Wrestling Report. And as a matter of fact, we're going to take a look at last week's Impact Wrestling, David Hero, where it was Delete or Decay. The final deletion 2.
How great is that stuff?
In the yard of the Hardys. Here's the thing. Here is the thing. I give TNA all the credit in the world, the Hardys, all the credit in the world for this innovative concept and doing something differently, especially given their infrequency that they have time to tape television, do the tapings that they do have. However, I have difficulty remaining engaged in it. It's cool, it's fun, it's sort of spottish, it's sort of campish, but I have difficulty staying engaged because I don't really care how it ends as opposed to what's sort of happening along the way. In that particular case, yes. Entertaining? Absolutely.
It's very entertaining. It tells a great story. I like the different looks. I think Jeremy Borash and the Hardys and Decay did an amazing job putting all that together. And
the Decay was perfect for it, weren't they?
Oh,
because they're a bunch of misfits. They're a bucket of deplorables.
Well, your buddy Abyss is in the Decay.
He has obligations that he has to meet, and we've talked about that, and he's making the right decision for him right now.
Your buddy a deplorable person.
I said he was in the bucket. Didn't mean he was one.
Yes,
he could have just been in the bucket by mistake.
You're talking about red cups or buckets?
I am not talking about this.
Red cups or buckets?
Fantasy wrestling match that you have in your head that's never going to happen at House of Hardcore. We're talking about TNA Impact Wrestling, Delete or Decay. We asked after the first one, the final deletion between Matt and Jeff Hardy, what was next? How did they capitalize on this? They have done that by having a second one and having a successful one. But now what? Does this become a Hell in a Cell match? Does this become a special attraction?
It's their thing.
So keep it on TV or use it on special events such as, well, it's a live pay-per-view. You couldn't really do that. Thinking about Bound for Glory or Slammiversary, whichever the pay-per-views are that they do.
You just tape it in advance.
Yeah, why not?
Like
We've seen pre-tape stuff.
With Piper and Goldust.
Yeah, yeah. And the Bunkhouse Brawl match, too, was that? No, that was live, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah.
With Dustin Rhodes and who was the opponent?
Barry Darso.
Yes, absolutely. Solid matchup, good Impact Wrestling. I also enjoyed the dialogue between EC3 and Bobby Lashley as they were doing the press conference for the championship matchup at Bound for Glory between the two. I love the feel of it. I love the different nature of it. It wasn't you're in the ring, going to end in a brawl. It did end in a brawl, by the way, but it wasn't you're basically in the ring, going to end in a brawl, contract signing. It was a press conference making Bound for Glory look big.
EC3 and Bobby Lashley, the two biggest stars in the company. I'm glad that's
two of the three biggest stars in the company. You forgot Rockstar Spud.
Well, I said biggest. Spud might be the shortest biggest star.
I was not talking about size. I was talking about stardom.
I was.
I'm taller than EC3.
Are you?
I'm taller than EC3, yes.
Why are you making fun of his height?
I'm not making fun of his height. I'm making a factual statement.
Are you calling him short?
I'm making a factual statement that you just called Rockstar Spud short.
But he is.
That is this week's TNA Impact Wrestling Report. Let's go to hot news, folks. And the biggest news story coming out of the sports world, the fighting world, if you will, last week was CM Punk's debut in the UFC at UFC 203 against Mickey Gall, where he lost and tapped out 2 minutes into the matchup, into the first round at UFC last Saturday night.
That's what I booked, didn't I?
You did say Mickey Gall would win.
Yes, and he did. He dominated. And
a lot of discussion about this, though, David. Here, a lot of wrestling fans saying, you deserve that, CM Punk. That's what you get. You mean nothing now. A lot of wrestling fans also saying, congratulations, CM Punk, for pursuing this dream, getting to the stage, getting to the dance, and performing in that element. Maybe he wasn't successful, but he made it.
Let me say this. $500,000 might get me to go into an octagon. Might. I have no desire to be in there. So, I mean, CM Punk, just because he went in there, tells me he's got
Cajones?
some pretty big pecans.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay? And
because he left a multi-million-dollar deal with WWE, so it's not about the money.
Yeah, he did. And he made money. I'm sure he has another fight because they did great numbers on their pay-per-view buys. So people obviously were interested to see what was going to happen.
But that's the thing to think about, right?
I think he killed his brand.
Really?
I don't care how much he got emotional and was inspirational afterwards, but you went from being the best in the world to tapping out to a dude with 2 fights in under 3 minutes.
Didn't Brock Lesnar lose his first fight in the UFC?
By mistake.
Okay.
He wasn't dominated.
Yeah, good point.
Okay?
Good point.
Punk was dominated.
And I'm not sure after Lesnar's first fight, did Dana White say that perhaps his next one won't be in the UFC? Because that's what he said about CM Punk.
Yeah.
Dana White, who dangled the $500,000 in front of CM Punk to come do the fight in UFC. CM Punk didn't want to go to UFC. He wanted to fight, but he wanted to do so in some smaller organizations first and then work his way up.
Yeah.
It was a business deal. They made more money. He made more money. Everybody walked away happy. The UFC probably got some new eyes on their product that may not have necessarily spent money on that pay-per-view.
His brand is damaged.
I'm talking before the show.
Yeah,
before the show going into it, people ordered that show.
I mean,
irreparably?
People will forget, but now I don't ever see him coming back now to WWE.
You didn't see him come back to WWE
But
before.
now I definitely don't see it.
Really? Because of this?
Yes.
Will he fight again in the octagon?
Of course. He wants to win.
Should he fight again in the octagon?
Yeah, because we all have an ego. I mean, you know what that's like. You know, it's just like you don't want to go out on your back.
Folks, that is all the best of luck. We'll see what happens with CM Punk going forward, but he did indeed lose his first contest in UFC, which I'm not sure came as a surprise to most experts in the business. Gone from WWE is Alberto Del Rio as well, ladies and gentlemen. Alberto Del Rio announcing his departure from the company, WWE announcing his departure from the company as well over the course of the last week. They didn't wish him the best in his future endeavors, though. As you know, Alberto Del Rio was serving a suspension for a wellness policy.
It was on their Espanol website. You didn't see that one?
Can't read that one.
That's why I didn't see it.
You're bilingual?
Yes.
You speak Spanish?
I do.
Can you give your thoughts on Alberto Del Rio being gone from WWE in Spanish, please?
Well, no, because we have an English listening audience.
They can push the SAP button.
That doesn't work for me.
It works for them.
The contract says I have to be English.
Yet you speak Spanish, so you're not proving it.
Don't have to prove it. My son is part Mexican.
Which part?
The tan part.
Alberto Del Rio, a weird year for him in WWE, and it's interesting. There's been connections between he and Paige because apparently they're dating, and there's been all these reports about her suspension, and she actually, you were talking about it earlier, has spoken out finally about her suspension due to a wellness policy violation. It seems like she's trying to make sure the fans know she didn't do any drugs, at least according to her. And keep in mind, there are suspensions from the wellness policy that you didn't have to do any drugs, exactly, to fail. But also people talking about how Paige and Alberto Del Rio were I guess people viewed Del Rio as toxic for Paige and that WWE was trying to split them up. Yet, if that were the case, why did WWE film them as a couple on Total Divas?
It's good for ratings.
On Total Divas, which hasn't aired yet.
It's good for TV. It really is. They're going to use that. There's too much footage not to.
Yeah. Is this a blow for the SmackDown side of things? Alberto Del Rio gone.
Weird choice of words. Considering
it wasn't. The reports are that he had enhanced levels of testosterone.
Oh, was that what it was?
Yes.
Okay.
Which I don't believe you inhale.
No, well, I don't think so. You could. But as long as you have a prescription from a Mexican doctor, who cares? That's all that
Tijuana,
matters,
ladies and gentlemen.
You know? Yeah, because Del Rio's a top guy. He's a former world champion.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's been a big star. He's been in world title matches at WrestleMania. You know, he's beaten John Cena. Beat CM Punk.
Yeah.
You know, anytime you lose a guy of that caliber of talent, it definitely hurts the brand.
Well, that is this week's hot news, folks. Let's go and move immediately into this week's DWHS.
Well, this is going to be an interesting DWHS.
They always are.
And it is because a lot of people have mentioned to me, you know, like, I'm happy for AJ Styles, I'm happy for Kevin Owens, I'm glad for these guys getting all their breaks and whatnot, becoming the top guys on both brands. And people go to me, how come you never booked AJ Styles? How come you never booked Kevin Owens on your shows? And it's a good question, but let's be honest. As much as you and I enjoy AJ Styles, and we consider him a friend of the show, when AJ Styles was in TNA, they couldn't sell 400 to 500 to 600 tickets at a house show.
When you say they, you mean the company. It wasn't the talents.
Right.
The company.
TNA didn't have the marketing behind them to be the stars they needed to be to draw the house. So on the indie circuit, I definitely don't have the marketing to promote AJ Styles the way he should be. WWE is a machine that creates stars.
Yep.
AJ Styles will never be as over or as popular as he is right now, no matter how great of his matches have been in the past. He's always been, you know, he's always been the phenomenal, always been one of the best. But when you have the machine behind you, like the WWE, they made Duke the Dumpster Drosy a star. You know what I mean? They did. So that machine they know how to make people larger than life. That's why AJ Styles is the man. The best thing AJ ever did in his career was leave TNA, go to Japan, get the stink off of him from TNA, and now he is the top guy in WWE. Knock WWE all you want. Knock NXT, knock any part of the brands that you want, but at the end of the day, they make people stars that sell tickets and draw money for the company. And with that, David Hero has spoken.
And one more note before we take off for this week, ladies and gentlemen, our programming changes. Primetime now coming to you on Thursday nights here on the channels of the Pro Wrestling Report, and Feedback Friday on Fridays, obviously, when Be the Booker needs to happen, which is seemingly now going to be every 2 or 3 weeks. That show will be a standalone on Saturday nights on our channels, and then on Sundays it's Battle of the Brands. So with that, and for that one, thank you so much for joining us. Remember, Shenanigans tickets go on sale tomorrow morning at PWRshow.com. We'll see you tomorrow night on Feedback Friday. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone.